What's going on, everybody? Feder here from 3D Print SOS. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're checking out another new printer. Let me grab it. Yep, it's very heavy. Here's a little sneak peek. So inside this absolutely massive box is a Tronxy Gemini S. It is a 300 by 300 IDEX machine. IDEX meaning it has two separate hot ends, two separate extruders, and it can do dual color prints as well as mirroring prints, so two prints at the same time. Really excited to check this out. I haven't had anything like this before, and I'm really digging the fact that it's a large machine. So let's go ahead and take it out of the box and assemble it, and I'll see you here in a second. All right, so here it is on the tabletop. What I want to do is I'm going to open the box up and take a peek at what's inside. And since I want to assemble it on this table, I'm going to, once we see what's in there, I'm going to put the box down on the floor and I'm going to start putting everything up onto the table. Then I'll show you what's inside the box, and then we'll go ahead and assemble it. So here we go. Let's see what's in here. All right, so it looks like we have two little baby spools of black and white filament. Looks like we have a bag full of some kind of brushes. I see a volcano style hot end, some belts, and this actually says spare parts. There's a few PTFE fittings. Looks like a Z stop or just an end stop. That's nice for spare parts. I have no clue what this is. Maybe someone can let me know in the comments below. I have no idea what this is. Feels plastic, feels like there's some kind of plunger. No idea, I guess we'll have to look in the instructions for that one. We have the power cable, nice and thick. Here's some tools, lots and lots of zip ties in there. And it actually looks like they give you some quality tools. I see a full-size screwdriver, a nice T-handle, Allen wrench. We have some side cutters. Those feel good. Nice little spring in there. And a cable to plug this into our PC, and lots of hardware. Oh, and these little things. These have been, I'm getting a lot of questions about these actually from the other Tron machine that we looked at. These are, they hold the bed. They're like little clips, but they have a little thumb screw. So as you can see, if I can get it close enough to the camera, so basically you can clamp the bed using these things instead of those clamps that sometimes vibrate and could destroy the underside of your bed where the heating element is. We have a PTFE tube, looks like a really short one. We have a nice, sturdy, non-sharpened scraper. And these are going to be the spool holders, and I actually mentioned, just like on their 3SE machine, XY3SE machine, even though these are all metal, there's actually a lot less friction on these with the spool on it, which is kind of a surprise. I remember when I first got these out of the box, I was really disappointed. I was like, oh my God, they're really, you know, dropping the ball on these things. But actually, they work surprisingly well. Okay, it looks like a 3D printed part, actually, with some brushes. Wow, that's interesting. Haven't seen something like this in other machines. So it looks like we have some 3D printed brackets that hold brushes. I'm gonna assume that these are going to be cleaning the hot ends. There's gonna be some kind of swiping scenario. The quality on these is actually really good. The print quality. Looks like there's some hardware holding them in place. So I guess that explains the spare brushes that they give you in the spare parts kit. Interesting. We have our little SD card and adapter. This one's actually branded Tronxy. We have our manual that I'm gonna read before I assemble everything. We have some kind of bags. These are really thick bags actually. Air valve. Oh, look at that. So this is a vacuum sealed bag, and I think I just figured out what this is. This is a vacuum. Yep, okay, so this little part right here, this little rubberized part, looks like attaches here, and yep, this is a vacuum sealable bag and pump from Tronxy. Interesting. That's a nice touch, Tron. Looks like here we have our glass bed. Let's see if I can get under there. Yes, sir. Okay, this is the back of it. The front is protected by a piece of vinyl here, clear vinyl. All right, let's go to the second layer. So there is the machine in its glory. At first glance, I thought these parts were like a tube for a bicycle, but they are ribbon cables. Okay, we have okay, so it looks like the sensors are actually those touchless sensors, where they're like proximity sensors. Yeah, I see them all over the place. The extrusions look really nice. They're the kind that don't have the cutouts in the front. It's branded at the top. I see dual Z's with a belt on top, and the dual heads with volcano hot ends. Oh, look at here. I know this is far away, and I'll show you a closer look. Looks like the X-axis is riding on linear rails with these very interesting metal wheels that are on these hot ends. Super cool. So it looks like it's pretty much entirely assembled. I'm not gonna be able to lift this like this, so here goes the box, and I'll bring it up here. Let's do that. All right, so this is the whole top gantry, the Z and the X axis. I'll get you a closer look to those rails. You see the metal silver rods? They're kind of like embedded into the extrusion, and there are wheels that they ride on. Very interesting. I haven't seen that on anything else. Pretty similar construction to their other machine that I have on hand. As far as these extrusions, the dual Z's, and how these brackets are held on the bottom, looks like there's rubberized feet that this stands on. So that's a little bit different too. Looks like this attaches to the side of the printer instead of like on top. Let's get the other part out. All right, so this is the base of the machine. We have a serial code. We have a switch on the power supply for 220 volts and 110 volts. Let's see what else I can see. Yep, these are the ribbon cables. Looks like there's two on each side. There's a protective film on the bed carriage here and the heater. Yeah, so far this is looking very nice. Nice and smooth here. No wobble on the bed. It does have a insulating mat underneath. The springs look a little bit different than the traditional spring. Looks like the front screen is going to be a touch screen. Nice vented area in the back. All right, let me go ahead and assemble this. Looks like it is quite literally 8 screws total. I'm just gonna set this aside, put it together, and I'll lay everything out and kind of show you everything that was in the box. But I just wanted to show you how easy everything was so far. So let's keep going. So let me show you what's going on. Here are the 4 screws that I just put in on each side. There's another set on the opposite side, obviously. And then we have some things to attach here. Looks like we have one of those little sensors. I'm gonna assume that it's gonna go here. I'll look in the instructions where it's actually gonna go. Then we have to plug in our Z motors. Looks like they'll plug right in there. And then we have this flat ribbon cable. They're zip tied at the moment. And looks like this big plug plugs into the sister board all the way up here. So let me go ahead and finish putting it all together, and I'll see you in a second. All right, guys, so this is the printer all set up, and it definitely looks nice and slick.
It is a 300 by 300 machine, but as you can see, it's next to some of my other larger ones. It is very compact in the base, even though it's pretty wide right here on the X, because obviously it has some extra parts here. It's still really compact and it looks nice and neat on the table, but definitely has a presence. I definitely wanted to showcase some of these things a little bit closer before I even had a chance to use it, because I think some of this is really interesting. First things first, as you can tell, I only have one of these installed because they actually came, basically these are supposed to be mirrored to be installed on the opposite side, but I actually got two of the same ones in my package. Looks like an honest mistake, and since these are printed parts, I have a feeling we'll be able to find and print this in the correct orientation. So maybe this will be the first print that we do on this machine, so that we can have a matching brush, because this looks removable and they give you some extra brushes. So I'm not too mad about that. That should be an easy fix. But let me talk about some of the stuff that I'm seeing here, because I do think some of this stuff is really special. So first, we got Titan extruders on both extruders. Some people really like these, some people don't. I kind of fall in between there. I do have my gripes with them, but they are nice to have out of the box, and way better than a lot of other stock extruders out there. Having these geared extruders is definitely nice. They're kind of like a proven system. And this entire system back here with the little daughter board and the ribbon cable, I'm familiar with other Tronxy machines that have a really similar I guess feature set here, so all this looks familiar to me, which is nice. I did notice that all of these sensors, except for the one for the bed, as you can see right over there, are these optical sensors, which is really nice, kind of like an updated system, which is nice to see. The belts all have built-in tensioners. They're all metal back here. All this is nice and sturdy in the way that this all sits. But the most special part is actually this X-axis. Let me explain why. So if you can see this extrusion here, this is a 20 by 40 extrusion. Here's on another printer, here's kind of like the standard type with the V grooves cut into it. This side is nice and smooth. It gives you this, I guess, smooth look, but it is still a traditional 2040 V groove extrusion. However, on the X is something a little bit more unique. There is a 5 or 6 millimeter rod kind of like built into the front of it. It is embedded into it, and there's one on the top and bottom. Let me get you in here. And it rides on these metal wheels. And it's really nice and smooth, and it's kind of like a cross between V-slot systems and linear rod systems. It's literally a hybrid between both. And if you can see here, both of these are on these carriages, and look at how the tension on the wheels is set up. If you can see this little round piece right here, you would unscrew those and then spin this up and down to put tension on this little wheel here to make that adjustment. So it's this little metal lightweight carriage where everything is assembled onto, and it looks really modular and kind of neat. If you can tell, this one looks stationary, but this one has a knob on top that actually moves this whole thing up and down, which I believe, I haven't looked into this yet, and that'll be in the next steps, but I believe you do a manual leveling with this head, and then once everything is nice and leveled with this one, you use this knob to get the second one leveled, and that's how this whole machine is set up. Now, with my other Tronxy machine, I have the XY3 SE. It's similar to this, but smaller, and it uses one head with two extruders. That one had its flaws with automatic leveling. The leveler on there just gave me non-stop problems. This one seems to be manual, which I actually like. I think it's going to give me more control and for me to be able to have an easier time with this system. So definitely a fan of that. But yeah, everything looks familiar yet different and unique in a way. It is definitely a really tall machine. It is the tallest one I currently have. So that's something to say. If you don't have a lot of room, this thing is really tall. but it looks really nice so far. So let's jump into the menus on the machine. I haven't powered it on yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and set this thing up on a tripod, get you a little closer, and let's take a look at the menus before we do all the leveling and do a test print. All right, let's get that set up. All right, let's go ahead and turn on this 3.5-inch screen. The classic Tronxy sound that I've heard before. I like the menu because it's black so far. Their previous machine that I had a super bright white menu that almost burned my corneas in my dark room. So it's very nice to see this dark theme. Straightforward so far. Let's go ahead and check out what's on the machine here. See what the info does. Okay, looks like you can see what chip this board has. That's an interesting feature to have in the menus. The ID and the current firmware version. Looks like I'm on 2.04. Let's see what's in status. Okay, looks like the current temperatures of the two hot ends, the bed, and the positioning. I'm not going to hit language because typically this changes the language right away. Default looks like a way to get back to the default if you have selected some settings you don't like. Theme, interesting. Look at that, you can change the theme right through the menus. Okay, it's typically one of these white themes that's super bright. I actually really like the fact that you can choose that. That's very nice, convenient. You don't have to do anything in Marlin or recompile anything. Nice feature, trying to like this. And I really am digging this black look here. Let's see what's in mode. We got full control. Looks like there's a picture of a computer. I'm assuming that's when you use the USB cable to hook into the computer. Auto park seems to be selected, or it's not highlighted. I'm guessing it can't auto park because I haven't done any kind of leveling yet. So okay. Duplicate, I'm guessing this is a feature of the IDEX where you can duplicate a feature using both the heads. Yeah, and then we have mirror, which mirrors the selected STL on the other head. And E-offset. E-offset is the distance between the two heads. We're probably going to mess with that after looking at the book though, the manual. I don't want to go ahead and go into that and change any settings yet without understanding them fully. All right, let's go back. Okay, that was mode, correct? Okay, so that's everything here. Nice and simple. Looks like everything is nice and zippy. I'm not having to wait on anything. There's no lag between any presses. Tool. All right, so this looks like you can move in small increments. Let's see. Yeah, very small increments. Oh, okay, it wasn't moving down because it was already at the lowest setting. Okay, that's nice. It moves actually really fast, and I'll show you that a little later. Obviously, we're zoomed into the screen here. Preheat. Typically on these, you just click to preheat. Yep, it's the same as it is on the other machines. We got the two extruders and the bed. Filament. Okay, looks like this is a way to control the extruders. When you put filament in, you would probably heat this way and click the plus for it to load in, minus to remove the filament. Okay, level. Please choose level mode. Okay, I'm guessing if I click manual, go between manual and automatic. I'm not gonna, well, there's no automatic leveler here, but I'm not gonna press that quite yet. I definitely want to check the booklet before I go ahead and do any kind of leveling. Fan. Okay, looks like this is extruder 1 fans all the way up and extruder 2 fans all the way up. I gotta say, these fans are much quieter than what I'm used to on some of the machines that I own. I can still hear them. I'm sure you can hear them through my microphone, but they're definitely quieter than what I'm used to. Okay, so that's nice. Can I turn the board fan off? No, at least temporarily you can't. Sometimes on some machines you can go full silent, which means all the fans would be off when you're not actually printing or doing anything. Looks like on this one it is set to be always running, which is okay. Those components should stay cool. Okay, that looks like everything. A nice big stop button, nice and simple, not too much to it. I don't see too much calibration, actually none at all, outside from leveling, so that's kind of interesting. Hoping it doesn't need anything calibrated, but I'm also guessing that, let's see where it was, you'll be able to do some of that through whatever full control is. Obviously full control means you should have full control, so I'm guessing that's how that's done. But yeah, nice and quick, very easy to understand, easy to click buttons, nothing too funky in this menu. The other Tron XY, I think it was the XY3 SE machine, that had definitely had some funky menu items in it. So this is refreshing. I like this so far. Let's see what's on the SD card. Filament bag video. Okay, the filament bag with a little pump. Very interesting feature to include with a printer, but that's there. Brush STL model. Nothing in here. This might be able to, I might be able to pull that up when putting that into the computer. Copy model. Mirror and copy test model. Okay, nice, something for us to be able to test print first. Mirror model, brush holder. Okay, there we go, and it's in mirror, so that's interesting. So this is something that will probably print first, considering I need the right side brush model. It's okay, that's interesting. We'll play around with that. Cura slicing software, Tronxy slicing software, and the USB driver. Okay, so those are obviously for when we put this SD card into the computer. Okay, nice and simple. Not much to talk about because it doesn't have too many features, but it is really easy to use so far. All right, I'm going to read the manual. I'm going to level the machine. I'm going to load in some filament, and let's see how easy it is to get started printing. And I'll see you here in a bit. All right, watch these things dance. It is very mesmerizing. I've been standing here for a few minutes just watching it, and it's just cool to watch. So I have been messing with this thing for a little while now. I have leveled it. I've set the E offset, which was how far apart these things print. It's all guided through the menu, and the booklet actually does a really good job showing you exactly what to do as far as leveling goes, as far as E offset goes, how to align the second one to the first one in terms of Z height and E height. It was very straightforward. You just look at the pictures and read what it says and kind of go along and do it, and it's also guided by the menus. So far very straightforward and easy to set up. I wouldn't say it is that much more complicated than a regular machine because the menus do make it easy. So the only thing that's special is once you set up your level with this head, it kind of moves along to the side completely away. It goes pretty far actually, and this one moves in, and there is a knob over here. You loosen 2 screws and you set the Z height on this one manually with a knob and screws, and once you do that, guess what, the machine is leveled. So it's actually really easy to set up and get going, and then basically you go into modes and set which mode you're printing in. I set mirrored, and I selected this model from the SD card, and what do you know, it's printing it in a mirror configuration. So far so good. Leveling was easy, offsets were easy, setting it up so far has been a breeze. Actually the quality is looking pretty good, and I'm just excited to see what these prints look like. So I'm going to watch it for a little bit longer, let these prints get a little further along, and I'll take some footage, and I'll see you here in a minute. Alright, so it's the next day and the print is done, and as you can see by the screen, it was actually only done in 2 hours and 43 minutes, which is very fast for 2 pieces like this, but considering they're printing at the same time, that makes it nice and easy. Oh, they're not stuck at all. Okay, the prints just came right off. Let me see if I can show you the texture that develops on here, since this is a textured glass, kind of like that lattice glass they call it. I don't know if you can see the little light right there. The prints are both perfect on both sides. There's no issues at all. Very little banding on the Z. And I'm assuming with so much weight moving and so many things actually happening at the same time, I would have expected even worse. But this is great. A little bit rough around the edge down there, but that's so easy to clean up. Let's go ahead and take these brushes and let's get them installed into here and throw them on. Alright guys, the initial impressions of this machine are actually quite high. As you saw, this is not a review video, this is just what it's like to unbox this, assemble it, set it up for the first time, and what it's like to print, and I'm just giving you my opinions on the experience so far. I want to hold off to give a review until I have experience with the machine. I've only printed 2 things with this so far, so just keep that in mind. This is just an introduction to the machine, and later on, when I've printed a whole bunch, I've had a lot of time with the machine and I understand it way better, then I will definitely give my opinion and my review on what it's all about. However, let me tell you the main things. Right now, the machine looks like it goes between $530 and $630, depending on which region you pick. Looks like right now you can get it from China at $630, but you cannot get it in the United States, or from the United States rather, because it is sold out. I'm assuming the shipments are coming in and they're just taking a little while because there's delays everywhere, so that's understandable. Plus, as you saw, the box is absolutely massive. So if you see a link for the machine below, that means you can purchase the machine. I will, if they put it on Amazon or you can get it in the United States, I will make sure that it's in the description and in the pinned comment if it's available. Let me mention 2 main things. One is the filament. All the filament that I've used in this video was brought to you by IIIDMax. These guys sell a filament in bulk, and if you go up to 10 rolls, you can get this for $8.99. If you go to 30 rolls, which I know is a lot, however, if you're like me and print a lot, 30 rolls isn't that many, but 30 rolls brings each roll down to $7.99. So at 10, $8.99. At 30, $7.99. It also has free shipping, so the deal is actually really good. It's all PLA+. There is a whole lot of different color filaments to choose from, and you know, they provided me this filament. They didn't ask for anything in return. I've just been using it because it looks really cool and easy to use. I haven't had a single problem, and I've been printing with it on all of my machines for about 2 weeks. So for me, very easy to recommend something like that when it's working, the price is right. Seems like a great deal. Check out IIIDMax.com, link in the description. Or not IIIDMax.com, it's actually through a different website, but that's where they sell the bulk orders. So link in the description below. The second thing I want to mention is that Tronxy did send me this machine in exchange for a video. However, they have no influence on my impressions or my thoughts in any way. They didn't ask me for any number of videos, just to do one. So I definitely want to do an impressions, get a feel for it, understand it, print with it a whole bunch, and then showcase it to you guys for real as a review. If you guys want to see a little bit further into more detail, such as the components in it, I am more than willing and happy to tear it apart and show you guys what's in there, with motherboard, some of the specs, things like fans and hot ends. Let me know in the description below if you guys are interested to see what is actually powering this machine, and I will go ahead and do that. But for this initial impressions video, I must say that the user manual has been really good. Obviously, this is a translated from Chinese manual, so there's some strange language, but everything has very large pictures with easy steps. You don't even have to read them because they're just very simple. They explain exactly what to do. Everything from aligning and using the E offsets to setting up a Cura profile so you can print dual color. Everything is in here and very straightforward. I've used other machines by Tronxy, and this one in particular is slightly better than the rest. They gave me very little to absolutely no issues to set up and get going. So let's talk about that a little bit further. To set up the machine, it is manual. It doesn't have an auto bed leveler, and I actually like that for this because it's just easier to comprehend. The printer is definitely more complicated than normal because it has two heads on it. So I wouldn't recommend this as a first machine. If you have experience with 3D printing and you want to get something like this, that's where it fits in. I think you need to have some kind of experience because, you know, a lot of new people in the 3D printing have a lot of issues even just with leveling. So I think you have to have all those fundamentals down before you get something like this, and so you can wrap your mind around having two different heads going at the same time doing different tasks. So with that said, the setup was really easy. Essentially, you're using the hot end number 1 to manually level the bed, make sure it's all leveled. Then it gets out of the way and you put in the second one and you manually do the offset, the Z offset. Meaning you undo 2 screws and there's a knob that moves it up and down. You use a little piece of paper, and when that one is set, that means the bed is leveled, the head number 1 is leveled, the head number 2 is leveled. So it's all set up from there. Then there is E offset. And that's all done in the menus, and it's all automated and very straightforward. Essentially what it does is when you click test, it prints 2 boxes, one with the first one with the second one, and if they're misaligned in the x-axis, you essentially use the offsets to measure, move it, and then hit print again so that it prints the same thing again, so you can keep aligning it until they're aligned perfectly on top of each other. Then you go into the Y and it prints to the side, and you do the same exact thing. The reason why you want to align these things is if you're doing a dual color print and the one head moves from the spot, another one needs to come in and print in exactly the same spot, you need it to be aligned. So that is called the E offset in the menus, and it makes it really straightforward. So leveling is almost like this, you know, a regular printer. Then this E offset bit is done through the menu, makes it really easy to actually do. And then there are these modes. You kind of saw me go over the menus. They're, I didn't know what they do exactly, so I didn't want to give you too much detail, but now I know. So the modes are mirror, which essentially, if you're going to be printing an object, it mirrors it exactly. We use that mode to print the brushes. It essentially took one and mirrored it over. Then there's copy mode, which will copy the same thing, just with 2. You're printing 2 things at the same time. So if you print a benchy, for example, it'll print it exactly next to it with the second head at the same time. And then there's auto park. Auto park is essentially for a mode for color, for doing a dual color print. For example, right behind me, and you'll see more of it as we go, there's a dual color print going. Essentially, I used the book to set up Cura, and it has 2 STLs. You set them on top of each other in the same spot that you want it to print. You select one, tell it to print on head 1. You select the second thing, tell it to print 2. That's how you control the colors. And auto park essentially prints with one, parks it, brings in the second one, prints, parks it, so on and so forth. It prints all in one color layer, then it prints the same number layer with the second color, and then it moves on and on that way. So very straightforward once you get to know it, and I'm actually really excited to continue to use the machine. It's been mesmerizing to watch. So price-wise, $540 in the United States, $630 from China, excuse me. I think that's a phenomenal deal. Let me explain why. Behind me here, I have an Aquila, an extremely affordable printer by Voxlab, and this one in particular has an Ender extender kit that's about $160 or so. So you're doubling the cost of the machine over here. And then it has some other bits that are installed that help me print different materials, higher temperatures, things of that nature. I would say just under $500 is invested in that machine. So if you can get something like this, that's 300 by 300, it's like this out of the box. It has a lot of features actually going for it, and it's around $530 when it's in stock. I'm gonna consider that a really good deal. Like I mentioned though, I've only had this printer for a few days. I don't know everything about it, and I haven't printed that much with it. So the recommendation is just based on my initial experience. I'm really excited to continue to use it and put it through its paces and actually give you a review after I got my feet wet and have a bunch of prints under my belt, put some spools through the machine. So with all that said, guys, I'm excited to continue to use it. Like I mentioned, let me know in the comments below what you want to see me do with this machine. If you guys want to see specs, things of that nature, if you want me to take it apart to show you the motherboard, let me know. I'll be sure to go ahead and make more content on this machine because it's been enjoyable so far. So another thing I want to note is make sure you guys check out the Discord channel. Lots of people in there helping each other out, sharing prints, troubleshooting machines. If you have software related questions, things of that nature, head in there. There's people helping each other, and we're building a really cool, fun community in there. Thank you everyone that's been helping me develop that and moving it forward and progressing. Alongside that, I started a Patreon, so you can become a patron. There is some benefits there. I will show you videos before they go live for everyone else. You get to see behind the scenes. You also get perks for the Discord channel as I develop the Discord and make it better. The patrons will also be getting more and more Discord related benefits. So you guys scratch my back, I scratch yours. You guys can be a part of the channel. If I have a giveaway to do, it'll be done with the patrons first. All right, guys, I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you for watching. If you know somebody who's interested in a machine like this, send them a link to this video. Maybe they'll find this useful. And as always, I'll see you guys in the comments. Thank you.